As a researcher in sustainable agriculture, I have spent 4 years analyzing what sets apart resilient, productive coffee farms, especially across Africa's prime regions like Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Rwanda. With increasing climate pressures and soil degradation, sustainable practices are no longer optional. They are essential for long term profitability and crop quality. Why do I say that? You need to take into account things like shade grown coffee with indigenous trees. When I mean indigenous trees, I mean trees like Grevillea, Macadamia, and Arabisia. Those are found in more of the East African region. They regulate microclimates, improve biodiversity, and enrich the soil. Best practice would be intercrop with nitrogen fixing trees to create multi-income systems. Like, for example, you will be able to sell the wood to your local community from the grove area, and also you can sell macadamia nuts to buyers. Like, let's say in Kenya we have kakuzi, they buy macadamias all the time. The other aspect would be organic soil fertility management. I don't know how many people do soil testing before they plant their coffee, but this is very essential. Why does it matter? Overuse of synthetic fertilizers leads to soil burnout. Composting and vermiculture, which means worm farming, create self-sustaining soil systems. Vermiculture is not complex technique. Most people would be like, I can't do that. But if you'd like some guidance on how to do this, be sure to leave me a comment in the comment section and I'll get back to you. As you all know, I respond to all your comments and I've never ignored anybody. Try this. Combine coffee husks and manure and apply in layers as mulch to retain moisture and add nutrients. You know the coffee husks that you get after you, especially for those people who are already harvesting. If you have that, you can combine that with manure, but here is the catch. You have to keep it somewhere to dry up and decompose before you actually throw it in your farm. That is one practice that I do, but I don't know what other people do, but that is the best practice. Water conservation and smart irrigation. There are people who do irrigation in their farms, especially those with farms that face very high dry spells. Water smart systems like drip irrigation. I know some people just get water from a river and do that and irrigate, but you know what that does? It carries away the nutrients from the farm because it's flood. That's flood irrigation. You want to retain as much of your manure and every other nutrient that you've added to your plant close enough to the roots. So when you do flood irrigation, it doesn't help the plant, it carries away the nutrients maybe to another plant, but it could spill over to places where the coffee roots are not going to get there. So what do? African farms like in Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, that's where we grow coffee most. Even though I saw someone growing coffee in Ghana, which was very impressive. Face dry spells, water smart systems like drip irrigation, mostly recommended, and mulch planting and cover crops if you can. And bluegrass reduce water loss. Do you want to know how to plant the bluegrass? You can actually see that on the video. Just make sure it's in the middle of the in the middle of the rows. Okay. Natural pest and disease management. Why does it matter? You know, chemicals reduce coffee quality, and so does pests and insects, such as anestia bug. I don't know who has seen anestia bug in their farm, but these are common in places like Rwanda and Burundi and Ethiopia as well. But we've not seen with this. They're less common in places like Kenya and Uganda. So you be sure to a good practice would be to scout your farm daily and follow the coffee management techniques provided by your local agricultural organization. For example, in Kenya we have Karo. I don't know how many people engage them. They're very quite friendly. If you write to them or call them or even visit their offices, they're very friendly. This includes timely pruning, weeding, manure application, and annual soil testing. That is very vital. If you're in Kenya and you'd like to know how to proceed, just leave me a comment in the comment section and I will guide you on how to go about this. I keep referring to Kenya because that's where I know the systems completely how they work. That does not mean that the other places in East Africa do not have such facilities. I'm sure they do. Just do some research. And the last aspect is climate resilient coffee varieties, which and why does this matter? Why do you need to invest in coffee varieties that are climate resistant? This is because climate change is altering in rainfall and so are temperatures. Adopt heat resistant Arabica hybrids bred by high altitude African farms. These include Batian in Kenya and Ruilu 11. I know some people still plant SL, but it's very expensive to maintain because of CBD and other leaf rust and diseases. But Batian and Ruilu does not need a lot of care like SL and other varieties. If you follow these instructions, your beans will be high quality and fetch high prices in the coffee market. As it is, the world thinks that the East African beans are low quality because of some of those diseases and the practices. So let's prove everyone wrong. If you find this content useful, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you're notified every time I post new content. See you later.